HBs, this is Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two ladies who love the genre talk about romance novels and nurture our long-distance best friendship. We've got some amazing patrons. Let's talk about one, shall we? Allie F., you are a parasitic Arctic ice worm that burrows deep inside the brains of unsuspecting geophysicists, a dog, and at least 2 FBI agents that refuse to accept their true feelings for each other. You turn your hosts into murderous psychopaths, incapable of controlling their wrath and paranoia. You are ruthless, crafty, and devoted to survival at all costs. It's not the most glamorous job, but you do get to hang out in Alaska, which is pretty cool. Even cooler, you deliver the great scene where Mulder and Scully check each other's bodies for parasitic ice worms. This was very important to Erin in 1993, so she thanks you. If you want to become a patron, visit patreon.com/Heaving Bosoms Podcast to sign up. We are going to be doubling all new and increased pledges until this Wednesday at the end of July, so do not hold out. And there you can also find out about all the goodies like shout outs and other gifts you can get at the different support tiers. So today we are talking about Perv by Dakota Gray. Here we go. Hi, Erin.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am fabulous. Man.
What?
Well, you want to hear the sweetest thing ever?
Yeah.
My brother just became a patron. Oh, isn't that really nice? I also want to kill him a little bit, but it's so nice.
No. He's going to listen to that poop episode.
Yes, he is.
He's going to see your butt plug. He's going to see your butt plug. Your brother's going to see your butt plug.
No.
Your brother's going to see that video you made with your butt plug.
Oh, fuck. No, listen, that's not my butt plug. I own it and stuff. But
Melody. If it is in your home, it is your butt plug. Sorry, girl.
No, listen, I've never even dreamt of using that comically large butt plug. I can't.
It's in your home.
He is. He's going to see that panicked video of me with that comically large butt plug. Well,
yes, he is.
He knows who I am.
You know what?
Babich, welcome. I'm your sister. You know me.
He's made his choices. He just wanted to listen to himself on his episode. That's what it was. It's a vanity patronage.
So maybe he won't even scroll down.
Maybe not.
I there's always the possibility that
there's
he won't.
only so much of your sister talking about sex that you can take. And I feel like the once a week episode is probably his max.
Yeah, I'm going to say but we do more on Patreon than just that. Sure. We talk about a bunch of shit. But yeah, it's still quite a bit.
It's mostly sex books. Speaking of, I was reading this week's book, Perv by Dakota Gray. Guys, buckle up. I was reading it at a lunch spot, hippie lunch spot here in Anchorage, dining alone, Hope Float style. And a man sat down next to me and was like, what are you reading? And I was on my Kindle, so definitely he's trying to get it in here. And
sure.
And I was like, it's a romance novel. And I thought he'd be like, and then go back to his vegan tofu scramble or whatever.
Sure.
And then he was like, oh, what's it called? And I was like, Perv.
Just dead-eyed at him.
Me dead-eyed. He's looking at me dead-eyed. There was definitely a 3-second him, me, total silence. And he's like, is that the Baja Bowl? Yep. He's like, is that a vegetarian? I'm like, yep. He's like, is that the vegan cheese? I'm like, yeah. And then we had a whole vegan cheese conversation, tried to forget what happened between us.
Never would I have thought that vegan cheese would be... the more preferable conversation for you.
I had this moment of what do I say, but like also what do you say? That's the name of it.
That's the name of your book. I don't give a fuck.
I was like, should I say something that's different, like the kiss quotient? But I didn't have it in my head to say like a different title.
No.
I don't know. Anyway.
No, you live your life and he can just eat his Baja Bowl by himself. The way that God intended.
He wasn't eating a Baja Bowl. You know what he was doing?
What was he doing?
This is the weirdest, guys, but this is so very Alaska. This is both the weirdest and also the most Alaska. He took leftovers from the restaurant we were eating at back to the restaurant and ate them there.
What?
I watched him walk in, bypass it's like a place where you order and put the number on your table.
Yeah.
He bypassed that whole situation. He sat down. He opened his backpack. He pulled out leftovers from the restaurant where we were eating, opened them, and ate them at the table.
No.
Yes.
No. You eat them at home as the goddess intended. Like, as
Yes.
you intended,
Because
actually.
You know how it's like, it's a fine line between like devout hippie and like homeless guy. And he comes in and he sat down. And I was like, oh, I wonder. And when he pulled out the food, I was like, oh, I wonder if this is a homeless man because he didn't purchase any food.
Yeah.
I thought maybe he was just coming in to get out from outside and was like eating food that somebody had handed him on the sidewalk or something like that.
Right.
But no. Then he pulled out a laptop and like also it was food from that place. So I think he needed somewhere to plug in his laptop. And he was like, oh, it's socially permissible to go back to the place where I got these leftovers. And it is not.
Incredible.
I do not think that it is.
Incredible. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, Alaska. Wow.
Yeah. Also was a white man with dreadlocks.
Oh,
which is
boy.
a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't.
No, we don't.
We don't like
We don't.
that. No.
We don't.
You know what else we maybe don't like?
Perv by Dakota Gray.
Listen.
Are you with me?
Here's the thing. This was a Twitter. I just saw like a conversation on Twitter about it. And so
Really?
I added it
Like
to our
recently?
list forever ago. No, it was no. Are you kidding? With our
What?
list? It was forever
This wasn't a recommendation?
ago. Well, it kind of was because
How many times do you do this to me? How many books do I hate that you put on the list? I swear to God, Melody.
listen, this was actually from a person. I don't want to name drop because you know, whatever, but I'll tell you later that if you had seen this person raving on Twitter about a book, you would have added it to the list too. It's just that this happens to be not our style.
Well, I can see if this is your thing, I can see where it would be hot.
Yes. No,
I don't
absolutely.
know. I'm not here to yuck
Absolutely.
anyone's yum. I just hated it.
Okay, because I think we hated it for two different reasons.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. I can already feel it.
We hated it for two different reasons, which is totally fine. And I also can completely see how other people would love it.
For the same reasons.
For the same reasons. My reasons are, I can't stand an alpha hole. I can't. An alpha asshole is not my jam. I don't like it. I don't understand it. I don't know why anybody wants to keep company with them. I don't know why you want them in your parts. I don't understand. Like, I just can't. So the predominant voice in this novel is the male perspective, and he is just peak alpha hole. He even says, like, there's one part of the book where he's like, what kind of woman wouldn't want to spend time between the sheets with a guy with alpha tendencies? Like, this guy just thinks that he is like God's gift to sex and feminism and like all this nonsense, and it's just complete and utter bullshit.
Yeah, I didn't mind any of that. So there you go.
He drives me banana town bonkers. And anytime he talks, I'm just like, sit down, get out of here. I don't like you. Sure, take your scotch and stop putting ice cubes in it and think that that's like really, really hardcore. Get out of here.
Take your scotch and stop with the ice cubes in it.
Stop with the ice cubes if you're going to drink scotch. Stop
That
it.
was like...
Scotch rocks. GTFO.
Oh, yeah, none of that bothered me at all.
Yeah, I just didn't like him. I just didn't like him. And so anytime
I didn't like him
anybody
either.
was like, he's so sexy, I was like, false. Just false. False.
Yeah.
And why didn't you like it? What was your main thing?
Okay, I've got a couple of different reasons. Well, wait,
Okay.
I want to start off with this.
Yeah.
I read I don't know if it's like the writer's note or whatever at the end of this book. Did you read that?
No.
It's from Dakota Gray, which I'm sure is not, I'm sure is a pen name. And she's talking about how she was a romance reader for 20 years and finally got up the courage to write this book. And she thought that no one would like it because it's this book about a kink and, all these things, and thanking all of the women that encouraged her and everything.
Aww.
And that made me, and of course it's self-published and all of that stuff. So I just want to say, before I shit all over this book that I didn't like, that I understand if you liked it, and I don't want to. The writing's great,
writing's great.
It's just not. It's not for me. It just was completely. Not a book that was for me, and I don't want. God, I would hate it if
I actually really liked his kink.
You all know.
Yeah, no, I liked his kink. I thought that there were a lot of logistical and rational problems, but we'll get to those, I'm sure. But I didn't mind the kink. I liked all of it. I just hated him, and I could not see past it. But it's just not my guy, Other people, it's going to be your guy.
Okay, so here are my 3 primary issues with this book. Number 1, this man's kink is that he loves going down on women, taste and smell wise.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Which is not fine, to each their own. That's great. Good job.
Sure. Thank you for your service, frankly.
Yes, thank you for your service. But his descriptions of smells
are a lot.
And tastes made me physically nauseated many times throughout the book, where I would actually gag and have to stop reading because I couldn't do it anymore. But I am a person that I think I've mentioned on the podcast before. Have you ever heard that Garfunkel and Oates song that's about how they might want to hook up with ladies, but when it gets down to it, they just can't get in there?
No.
It's they're singing along. They're a female comedy singing ukulele duo. Yeah. And they're I'm so cool. I'm gonna hook up with a lady and we're making out. And I'm adventurous sexually, la la la. And then I go down to her. Oh God, no, I'm not gay. Well,
that is exactly you. That is exactly you.
Yes. And and I identify with that song. I do not have any interest in going down on another lady. And because of that, this book made me physically nauseous in a lot of nauseated. So that's number 1. So it was not sexy to me a lot because of that.
Right.
Thing number 2 is Dakota Gray. I'm sure you're a nice person. Just a fundamental Googling of what is army and what is lawyer would have really done Dakota Gray
completely
a good
agree.
Job.
Yes.
All right. That's number 2. Number 3 is I could not understand either of their motivations at any time throughout this book. I could not figure out why each of them was behaving the way that they were behaving. And I also, the big conflict in this book is that he has wronged one of her friends, and I never understood how or in what way he wronged that friend. I cannot figure it out, and we'll get into it, but those were my 3, so the sex was no good for me, the logistics were no good for me, and then also the conflict was no good for me. And because of that, there's nothing else in a romance novel. There's nothing else.
Fine writing. The writing was good. It was easy to read.
Yeah.
It was breezy to read. That was.
And there were a couple of scenes I liked. But
absolutely. I really liked imagining him trying to use up his hours by starting a male striptease class. That made me really happy.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
I loved that. Yeah. Okay. So here we are in the prologue. The prologue starts off with him, and he's about to get into it with a lady. She's supposedly strutting towards him, and from his point of view, she started as this meek little mouse who just even her walk was shy, and now he's trained her, and so she walks across the room with the hip pops that he likes.
Yes.
And then he's like, oh, but I'm going to break up with her as soon as I rock her world with this sex.
He loves them and leaves them.
Yeah, I'll give her all the lines about how emotionally fucked up I am, all the things that aren't true. I just am done with her now.
Right.
Yeah, because she's shy.
Can I just say where I'm at the beginning of this book? So we're in prologue. We're on paragraph 3 here. I do not yet know that his kink is vagina smells and tastes. Okay,
Yes.
I do not yet know. Yeah. Paragraph 3, he says, the chair cushion groans as I lean back to appreciate the view of her vagina. Mm-hmm. The hem of her dress kisses her thighs, and I know she's horny because I can damn near smell her arousal. And I made the note, can we just make a moratorium on smelling arousal? It is so gross.
You cannot.
And that was the tamest way he ever says it. I just meant in general, can we just not smell arousals anymore? I'm over it. It was okay one time in Talia Hibbert's werewolf book, and that was the only time it was okay, and never
Here's
again.
The thing. And he says this later on in the book. He's like, yeah, I drown my sorrows in scotch right after smelling her, and I understand that her taste is not actually in my mouth. It's just like in my brain parts or whatever. And this might be his kink, sure, but a lot of it is just psychosomatic. He says I can damn near smell her arousal. He cannot. You're imagining it, bro.
I don't care.
No, I know. I'm just saying pick one. If your thing is the actual smell, like, get up in there or something, or, you know, I don't know. I mean, he does. He give him time, I guess. Yeah, so he's breaking up with this lady. Oh, and he also doesn't know her name because he calls every woman Sugar.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Let's describe him. This guy, what is his name?
Uh-oh.
Oh, God, what is his name?
I want to say
it's
Luke,
first person.
But that's because that's who he looks like to me in my brain.
No,
and that also ruined it.
Nate.
Nathaniel. Yes.
Okay, so he is a Southern man from Georgia with a thick fraternity brother style Southern accent and floppy hair. You know, the long on top sort of floppy hair.
Yeah.
And
a little bit of wave
muscles.
To it. All the muscles.
Yeah, a little bit of like a swoop. Yeah, I imagined it as a swoop.
Me too.
Many muscles, much gym, very Scotch.
Yes.
So like
sort of,
except
things... he puts as many ice cubes as he can in it.
He never says as many ice cubes as I can.
When you go to a bar and you say this thing on the rocks, they fill up the glass with ice usually, and then they put the alcohol into it. Or like
what is
halfway
your
with
fundamental
ice.
Problem with Scotch on the rocks? I don't understand what your problem is. It's a drink. People drink it.
Listen,
do you have a problem with her fucking martini with 2 olives? Because I do.
I'm fine with her. I know that's what I drink a lot of times.
2 olives. I just feel like, why are you special? 2 olives. Like, just 1 olive. That's what comes with it. Just the olive.
Oh,
just
really?
The one. Yeah. Every time I'm like, what makes you so fucking special? 2 olives. Every time somebody orders 2 olives.
I usually want a snack as well as my martini, so I will frequently ask for 3 olives.
I had a friend, you know Kristen, who would order drinks and ask for as many maraschino cherries as they would legally allow to put in her drink without an upcharge. That's how she would order it every time. And I would be like, what the fuck makes you 1 cherry? That's what you get. That's what everybody gets. Don't ask for an extra one.
3. I like 3 olives. Yeah.
That's the Midwest in me. What makes you so special? Anyway.
Listen, I don't have a problem with his drink choice. it was the overall feel to him where he's like, when I do something, I do it the most hardcore. When I was a stripper, I can own a Ferrari now. And like, oh my God, I'm going to do this and I'm going to drink all the scotch. And I'm like, then drink fucking scotch. Like, I don't know. It was him. I'm nitpicking because it's him. Okay, so he's got this blonde hair. He's Georgia Southern boy and I also didn't like him because if you're watching The Bachelorette this season, he just sounded like Luke P to me and it ruined everything. So it was bad timing on reading this book.
I posted about this in the cult. David watched an episode of The Bachelor with me and he believed every time Hannah was saying Luke P that she was saying Lil Pete because of her Southern accent. Because she'd be like, Luke P. And like, finally somebody just called him Luke in like a normal voice. Yeah. And David was like, wait, that guy's name is Luke? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, I swore this whole time his name was Lil Pete.
Lil
Wayne. Lil Pete.
Amazing. I would love that.
He's like, that's why I hated him mostly. Because it was like an episode where he hadn't really done anything, but everyone was just talking about how they hated him. And David's like, totally. The guy walked in and said, hey, I'm Lil Pete. I would hate him too. Anyway, all right, moving on.
Okay, so we're in the present day, chapter 1. And he's at the club.
Oh, also, this is a metaphor, you guys. Are you ready for a metaphor?
Oh.
He has a scar on his cheek that looks like a dimple.
Oh.
And girls really fall for it because they think it's a dimple, but it's not.
dimple.
It's a scar from Army.
Because he's so badass, you guys.
The only man in the world that got hit with an IED and got a fucking dimple. That's his big Army injury from an IED is a dimple. Fucking.
There was also some shrapnel in his shoulder or whatever, but he just has to lift more weights to keep it.
Yeah, he also has a different injury that makes him so hot and muscular. I can't. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. So he's at the bar, he's trying to get a drink, and all of a sudden, this short, curvy, licious lady with, I think he says like mocha skin and curly hair, like curly kinky hair, comes over. He's also terrible at nicknames because she comes over and she puts her tits up on the bar and is like, bartender, trying to catch him with her eyes. He comes over because she's a lady who needs a drink at a club. And he's like, oh, she's so stealthy. And so her name to him is Stealth and Heels. And she's like, oh, Stealth in Heels? And he's like, no, Stealth and Heels.
Like, sex and the city.
Come on.
But stealth made no sense either.
Stealth made no sense.
Why didn't our girl Dakota just have her sneak up on him or something? Then it would make sense.
Yeah, I think it was more socially stealth,
No, but I understood. It just wasn't making any sense.
I hear you. Okay, so she looks over at him and she's like, oh, I know who you are. You want a taste of this? And
he says, this bar is my usual hangout. I often come here with my friends, Duke and Tarek. And I was like, I often come here with my friends, book 2 and book 3.
Yep. So I actually made that same note. And I highlighted their names too.
Anyway, okay.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I have to go back to the prologue. I just scrolled past it. I'm sorry. It says, and taste her already. Pussy and strawberries. Where did the strawberries come from? Where?
I can't.
Is this supposed to mean that he's like a wine aficionado of cunts?
I can't.
People always find layers in wine that I'm like, delicious red wine. Glug, glug, glug. Anyway. Okay.
I think I've told you that I once had a friend who said that he wished vaginas tasted like Philly cheesesteaks.
No.
And and he's listening, and I won't say who it is for privacy reasons, but that has been grossing me out for at least 10 to 15 years. Anytime anyone says a vagine tastes like a food, it just grosses me out so much.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I hear you. Also, his whole
Yes.
philosophy is, it doesn't matter that I leave them high and dry, because in this case, it says the rest of her life, she'll walk like she knows her pussy is a fucking gold mine. And it can bring men to her knees or their knees or whatever. It's a lot. Okay. She smiles at him. This present girl at the club smiles at him, and the way her eyes crinkle even has him holding his breath. She's like, okay. And he says, what the fuck? So
that kind of made sense. She has a cute smile. I get that. I understand that.
No, I completely agree. But it's I don't know. Yeah, it's an early indication.
But
that
everything he does, I hate because I hate him.
I just hate him, you guys. I'm
Look
sorry.
at this bitch eating crackers. He likes her smile. Oh, I bet he does.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So he tries to neg her about her drink order, and she's not having it.
Yeah.
Mostly because she's not that kind of girl, you guys. She likes her fruit to stay fruit, and so she orders 2 olives instead.
Right. So she says to him at some point, Nathan Ellis, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does she recognize him?
I still to this day have no idea.
I have no idea.
No idea.
She
Not
just
at all.
says, I know your full name, correct? Because, spoiler alert, he used to date her friend. So she just walks up to him and just knows who he is in the bar, and that is never explained how. Because I don't think he and her friend took pictures and selfies together. I don't think they had that kind of relationship.
Couple.
So I have no idea if she just, knows him because he happens to be a schmarmy Georgia boy in this bar? I don't get it.
It's never explained. I have no idea. But she does look right at him and says, "We both know why you're practically trying to crawl up my skirt." And his inner monologue is, "Yeah, I wanted her to sit on my face." Cool. Okay, so
she says to
I'm
him,
sorry. Also, these people are dumb. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say it. This is an exchange that happens. He goes, "My intentions are pure, sugar." And she goes, "As the driven snow." I laugh at her wit. Like,
what?
What is witty about that?
That's not witty.
That's not witty.
I know. That happens so much in this book where I'm like, you guys aren't funny. But maybe, okay, see, we don't have this problem because, like, we're really funny.
Sure.
I've never been in a conversation with, like, two unfunny people because, like, I'm so funny and witty and charming. So, like, I don't know what it's like between two people that aren't cool and funny.
The plebs,
Yeah, but maybe if two uncool, unfunny people get together, these sorts of things are funny. I don't know.
These fucking dum-dums. Anyway.
Maybe that was the problem with the wedding date, too. I don't know. Where they're like, a genie? I don't get it.
Make any sense. Okay.
Anyway.
Right. She's like, "I'm not going to let you fuck me and leave me. So you can just get that right out of your brain." Oh, but he does test her a little bit. He's like, "How have you heard about me?" And she's like, "Former Army, and when you were on leave, you stripped on the low." Now, Erin, I would like you to take this.
Bing, boom, bong. Bird chirp. All right. I'm just going to do a little tutorial for all you authors out there. Because authors get this wrong all the time. So this is just like me helping you guys. Okay.
Yeah, totally.
The Army is just a normal job. You live in a house. You go to it every morning. You leave it at the end of the day. You might live on base, but it's like an apartment building. If you live in a barracks, it's not like an open bay barracks with a bunch of like bunk beds in a big room. You have like an apartment. It's like a dorm room, you guys. And if you don't live in the dorm room on base, you can have a house on base. Like if you have a family, you have a house. And if you don't want to live in that house, you don't even have to live on base. You can live off base. And it's a normal job. You go to it in the morning, you leave it in the evening, you go home to your family, to your house. When you are stationed somewhere that's in the United States, that's how it is. You don't like go to the Army and then you're like gone for years and you're unable to be contacted and then you come back years later. All right. When you go, quote unquote, on leave, that's just vacation days. You can take Monday of leave. You can take a week for Christmas of leave. You don't like go to war and then have leave for a year and then go back to war and have more leave for a year. That's not how the military works. And I don't understand why authors continue to get this wrong. It's like somebody will go to Army for like 5 years and they'll be like, "I couldn't contact him.
Never
he
saw
was
him
at
again."
Army. Yeah. He was at Army stationed in Texas. Gosh, I wish I could have called him. Or like they'll be like, "Oh, when I was on leave from Army, I traveled around Europe for months." It's like, how'd you get so much fucking vacation of that? Like, that's crazy. Which is just like a normal, if you took 3 months of vacation from your regular job, you could go around Europe, but you need to have a lot of vacation time saved up. So the other thing is,
do you get more time off once you're like deployed to Afghanistan or whatever? Because that's what he said.
That's what I was going to say. So if you do a deployment, which is usually 9 to 12 months or whatever, and then you come back, a lot of the time you will get like a month off after you get back. And then while you're there, you usually get 2 weeks of what's called R&R. Sometime in the middle of your deployment, you'll get to come home and see your family for 2 weeks. So those are kind of like maybe what authors are thinking of, but still, it's not like war home. And so she's like, he was at Army and then he was like home for what? I guess like a year on quote unquote leave. And that's when he was a stripper.
I thought he said 2 months. Which also makes no sense math-wise.
Whoa. Wait, he stripped for 2 months?
Listen, yeah. So first of all, I noted this because it says, he's talking about like how much he made. And he was like, I was pulling in 10 grand a month. Now that strikes me as not Army salary only.
No.
For just a soldier.
No.
Right. So that has to include stripping. But then later on, it says, I've done it before, a 2-month tour. And that's why I could own a Ferrari if I wanted one. And my note is, Ferraris cost $20,000? Like, what? Does that?
I don't know. Wait, does he mean a 2-month tour at Army or 2-month tour
Magic
at stripping?
Mike routine tour. Magic Mike tour.
Oh, well, I guess I thought, because she said he was a stripper when he's on leave, so I thought that meant like leave meaning a long period of time in her mind, and then part of that was a 2-month Magic Mike tour. But I don't know. That's the problem is I don't know, and it doesn't sound right. And also,
it doesn't add up either way.
If you were ever in Army, you capitalize Army.
Right.
Period. The end.
Yeah.
It's not an army. It's the United States Army. It gets a capital letter. All right.
Yeah. So anyway, he's like, I was never a stripper because he's lying through his teeth. And he tells you that in his inner monologue. And then he's talking to her and she goes, I'm not going to let you fuck me and drop me, sugar. And like turns that back on him. And he's like, fuck. Mm-hmm. Oh no. Now she knows that I don't know anybody's names. Then she hasn't even introduced herself. I don't know her name. And yet she's like, what's my name? Tell me my name. And I'm like, nobody knows.
No one knows your name. You didn't say what your name was.
Yeah. How could he know what your name is, you asshole?
But he doesn't know that he doesn't know her name because even if she said it, he wouldn't have listened to it.
Yeah, he wouldn't have listened to it anyway. And I guess that's the point. But I'm like, you never even you didn't say it. Anyway, he says, pussy is my cake.
No,
woman's cup is her own personal flavored icing.
Oh, God,
if you want to wish me a happy birthday, place a candle between your pussy lips. I don't think he knows how vulvas work. Because ouch town. I'm sorry. Like, I guess that could be considered wax play, but I feel like, I don't know. Okay,
it's not necessarily lit. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. Anyway.
The icing thing just like really got me.
Oh, personal flavored icing. That's what I'm saying. He talks about, we'll get to it. So then he looks over and her friends are over there and he's like, how does she know me? How does she know me? Are one of those bitches one of the bitches that I fucked before? And he's like, and his phrasing is a quick scan of their faces and nope, none I've ever tasted. Okay. So they keep talking. She's like, tell me my name. And he's like, Stealth. And then he says it's and, not in, even though Stealth in heels is a better nickname, just objectively a better nickname. Mm-hmm. And then, he does in this chapter lay out his standards. Right. Because she's like, which is fuck anything. And you, no, not according to him out loud. She's like, you torture women by, she says, mind-blowing head, and then they have to somehow live the rest of their lives cold turkey or with second best. That makes you an asshole. And he's like, they're all adults. Yeah. Second of all, no, it doesn't.
I'm team what's his name on this. Like, completely. I'm team Nate.
Yeah, you're taking away their agency if you tell me that this is a bad thing he's doing. Because he never lies. He never makes them believe.
Well, he does lie a little bit sometimes when he breaks up with them about why he's can't commit and stuff like that, because he's made up like abuse stories and all kinds of stuff, but he never lies about like I love you, let's get married, blah blah blah. He doesn't do that. He's like, this is the deal, we're just gonna have sex for a while and then it will be over. That's what he tells them from the outset.
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely what he tells them. And okay, all right, so I do have a bit of a confession to make.
What?
Because there was a while when I was a Nate in this regard.
Oh, really? That you were?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where I was just like... That makes
most sense.
Yeah, I was just like, this is what I can offer you. It does not include love or long-term commitment or whatever. One time I told a guy that I was going back to college on this date, and when I did that, it's going to be like I died.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I don't feel bad about that because it's not my fault that you started spinning tales in your brain. Every time we had conversations about it, I was very, very clear about what this was, you know?
Right. And this girl right now, like the way she's explaining it is not so much like his policy of this is what it will be is the problem, but it's more that he's so good at it that's a problem, that he's not allowed to, I don't know, be super good at it and then they'll never have anything as good for the rest of their lives. Like, that's not his fault. What's he supposed to do? Like, lower his game a little bit?
And also, like, what? I don't know. To me, claims like this make no sense because sex is so much about chemistry. Like, yes, there is technical skill involved or whatever, but if you repulse me as a person, you're not going to give me a mind-blowing orgasm. It's just not going to happen because my brain will not allow it. You might be able to give me a mediocre orgasm. That's fine. But so much about sex is cerebral and emotional and all of that. And I don't know, like one person who could be absolutely incredible to me, Melody, would be like a jackhammer travesty to you, Erin, because we don't have the same chemistry, you know, or the same 100%. Tastes. Like, not all vulvas work the same way. I just don't understand. Fundamentally, I don't understand.
Yes, agreed. I don't know.
Anyway,
I didn't get it.
I just didn't connect to it. So anyway, she's like, "You want a taste of me, Nathan?" And it says she's needling me. Actually, I highlighted all of this, so I'm not going to read it all. And he is basically like, "Where do you want to go?" And she proceeds to come up with the most baller move I think I've ever seen in a romance novel. It's so baller. She grabs his hand and very stealthfully, I will say.
Maybe if he said stealth after this, it would have worked.
It would have. She puts his hand right up her skirt, and I don't think she's wearing underwear, or maybe like somebody pulls it to the side or whatever. She
never wears underwear.
She never, after this, she never wears underwear, you guys. Anyway, so he gets like 1 or 2 swipes with his fingers, and she's all wet and juicy and stuff.
God, I can't.
His cock loves it, it says.
I'm going to need you to read it. I cannot.
Oh, here we go. This is my favorite. All I know is that she is swollen and wet. Her cream has a nice consistency. I can practically taste her salty tang.
What?
She doesn't gasp when I caress her to get my fill. Seconds pass.
The word cream is just so gross.
Also, are some people's like gritty? Like, I guess, like, have I not taken enough of a sample size?
I don't know.
Is my question.
I don't know. I don't want to know. I don't want to know anything about the consistency. Like, it's so nauseating to me. I just, ugh. I mean, celebrate you and whatever your consistency is, but I do not want to know.
I'm just saying, like, is this another one of those, like, wine tasting situations where they're like, ooh, there's hints of chocolate. And I'm like, tastes like wine. I don't know. Anyway.
No.
Okay, so wait, you guys. He lifts his hand
yes, I do.
In
terms of, like, what you're saying, of, like, whether she's fruit forward or not, yes, he's that guy. Like, yes.
But I mean,
he is, like, a connoisseur.
Would this be like the, what's that when you swirl it around? The viscosity? Is that what it is? Is he? Are there slightly different viscosities? Hey, wine lovers, come at me. Okay.
Gross.
Okay, wait, you guys. He lifts his hand to wave it beneath his nose. He's literally just swirled the glass and shoved his nose in the glass of wine.
Oof.
And then he says, "I can't describe her smell, but she can suffocate me if she wants to. I'll die happy." And then, you guys, let's set the stage real quick, just to remind you. This is a complete stranger who has walked up to him in a bar. He groans. A groan spills out while I slip my finger between my lips as she watches. Tangy and sweet and fuck me. There is a moment later on. No, I'll get to it later. That's a stranger?
Yeah.
That's a stranger. Just Bing Boong Bong Sexual Health, you guys. This is
later in the
dangerous.
book. He talks about how super safe he is all the time.
No, I was just about to talk about that. We'll get to that when we get to that, because it does not make any sense, particularly with his kink. That's part of the rational logistical problem that I have.
We'll
with
get
this
there. We'll get there. We'll get
okay.
there. Yes.
So anyway, she's like, he's like, "If you let me, I'd put you on the bar and make you squirt." And she says, "Just with your mouth?" He says, "Yes." And then she studies him for a moment, and then she scrunches up her nose and says, "Pass." And then basically she fucks off. She's like, "It's been fun. Later."
And then she goes back to her friends and is like, tee hee 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 hee.
Oh my gosh, wait. I'm sorry. I do have to send his parting shot because she calls it, quote, funny. And I need your opinion on it. He says, "Tell whoever sent you, I fucking hope they fucking get crabs." She laughs and then picks up her drink. Cute and funny. You had potential. Night, Nathan.
Not funny.
Have it. What about that is funny? I don't know.
Especially after we know all. And then also, like, okay, his rationale here is not, like, she knows his name. Okay, so she knows his name, and then she does this kind of, and she knows a few things about him, like that he calls women sugar and that sort of stuff.
Right.
And then she does this tease thing and walks away. So if this were you or me, and somebody did, if you're Nate in this situation, my thought would be, oh, this person must have a mutual friend of like, it knows one of my friends or knows one of the girls I've dated or whatever. And then decided they did not want to do sex with me. Right? Mm-hmm. That's normal.
That is.
His thought is, who sent you? Which is a very weird James Bond leap, in my opinion. Like, who sent you? What woman that I screwed over must have sent you here to do this horrible thing to me? Which is what?
Wait, and then
not leave with him? That's the horrible misstep that she's committed?
Actually, it's two different things, because at least the phrasing is kind of messed up, because on the one hand, it's like, oh, he basically says, you know, she teased me and then left me high and dry, which is like its own problematic trope.
A huge problem.
Yeah. But then he, later on, his phrasing is, she let me get my fill, which is like not true. Your fill would have been completely and utterly eating her out. That's not what you got. Anyway, no. And then the other thing, he makes another leap, and that was, he gets all paranoid, I think, like later on, and he's like, how did she know that she would like taste so good to me? How did she know that I wouldn't be able to get her taste out of her mouth?
No. What he says is, how did whoever sent her know that I would like her taste? I'm like, because you like everybody's taste.
Because literally anyone.
This is your kink. This literally anyone.
Yeah.
You want to sit on your face.
Right. Okay? And that's fine. I'm cool with that part.
And also, like,
but,
okay,
don't say that
there's
she's a special snowflake.
Super villain out there.
Yeah.
Sending women to like not have sex with him after speaking to him at a bar. Okay. Do we think that super villain is only selecting women with like good smells and taste? Like, it makes no sense to me.
Are they like checking your pH level before they pat you on the butt and go to get in the game? I don't know what that means.
His paranoia was like off the charts crazy to me. Made no sense.
Okay, so he wakes up the next morning. He's pissed, but oh my god. I also have to read something else to you, because I took a little bit of offense to it, but I don't know if you did or not. He says, I need coffee and to punch something in that order, or there would be blood in the goddamn streets. Like, no surprise, right? Deal? Coming from a vet?
Yeah. Well, and I was like, and then let's move on to the next line. I served in Afghanistan, 5 tours under my belt, and then I didn't re-up. How old is Nate?
I don't know.
Do we think? Like, at least...
I thought he was like 26.
No, there's no way. Unless, I mean, I guess there are circumstances under which he would be 26, but like not many. Like, he's got to be at least 30. Okay. Then it says, that doesn't mean I'm naturally violent. Army doesn't teach regular soldiers hand to hand. All right. There are a few things here. Let's say that statement is true.
Sure.
That would make him naturally violent if the Army taught him how to do hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, I don't know.
And also, you're looking at an Army lawyer. Probably the least likely to need to know any hand-to-hand combat. And they still taught me combatives level 1. So, like... Yes, they do.
Yeah,
they teach literally every soldier.
Yeah.
We don't even know what he did in the Army. He didn't even say what he did in the Army. What did he do?
Mean, thank goodness.
Was he an IT specialist? Because it seems like it.
Yeah, right. That is his specialty later on. Yeah, I know.
I swear.
I know.
They didn't teach regular soldiers hand to hand, only the IT guys.
I feel like that's the only thing they would teach literally everyone. You know what I mean? That and to like shoot a gun.
Yeah. That's,
I don't know.
Anyways, whatever.
Okay. So he says that he drank all the scotch last night and he still can't get her. He woke up and her taste still colors his tongue. Get it? Oh, all right.
No, you were grossed out. You switched it to a get it because you wanted to be a get it sort of person, but you were grossed out when you first started reading that sentence.
Me out. Him as a person, his kink is great.
You guys, this is a gross book. It's gross. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm sorry, Jacqueline. I love you so much.
Then he keeps on going in between, like, fuck her and the horse she rode in on. And, like, I hope she takes a long walk off a short cliff. And, like, all of this, like, super not okay stuff. He goes to a gym, which is probably going to be booked
because she wouldn't have sex with him. This is the quintessential guy that you're texting with on Tinder, and then you're like, you know what? I've decided no, and he hunts you down and goes to your house.
Yeah, you guys, he does that, and
is like, "Who sent you? Who sent you to not have sex with me?"
Right?
Like, it makes no sense.
It makes no sense. Okay. So he has a couple of friends who are going to be in the rest of the Filth series. I don't want to spend a lot of time on them. However, long story short, he spent some time in a gym because lift up the weights and put them back down. And one of his friends has a paralegal who apparently also moonlights as a private investigator.
Bing bong bong. Dakota Gray has no idea what lawyers are. But also, this is also the chapter where we get the line, "Who sent Stealth to fuck with me, and how did they know I'd like her taste?" And my note was, gross, gross. And also, because you just said if it's pink, you want to eat it. Gross, gross. Like, it's all caps. And he means like the whole line. Gross.
He means like vaginal canal, because he's like, I don't care what color you are. I don't care what size you are. If you are pink where it matters. And I'm like, not all vulvas are pink in any spot. He's talking about canal. That's what he's talking about.
Oh, God, gross, Melody, gross, gross,
I'm sorry.
Gross.
That's just real life. I don't know it, because it was a puzzler, guys. I was basically sitting there with a Sudoku trying to be like, where is it pink on this lady? I don't know.
It is like it's in the
canal. Okay, let's keep going. Okay. Oh, God. He also says, so he doesn't have this lady's name or whatever, but he says, Stealth doesn't have the kind of face I'd forget, and I never forgot a woman's signature taste. Okay. Basically, he gets somebody to hunt her down. One of the paralegals at his friend's lawyer firm.
This is important for me. Okay. One of his friends is a criminal defense attorney at a top-level firm. His name is Duke. And he says to Duke, I need you to get one of your paralegals to find somebody for me. And he's like, no problem. And then by the next morning, one of Duke's paralegals has made a dossier on this woman.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
Now, if they had been like, I want your in-house investigator to find these things, sure. Because some law firms have that. But
that's not what a paralegal is. And also, if he used like lawyer tools to track this girl down, that is like deeply unethical.
Right.
Not okay.
You would think.
So anyway, I guess they create a dossier because they found like her friend's license plate and ran the plate. Listen, lawyers can't run a plate. That's not something I can do. I hope my paralegal can't do it because maybe paralegals have like special powers that I don't know about, but running a plate is not one. You have to find a cop for that. That's not a thing.
Or maybe a PI. I've been watching a lot of Veronica Mars lately, you know.
But I still don't think they can run plates. Like,
no,
that's
they have to do
sophisticated
tricks.
Power.
They have to like impersonate other people on the phone to cops to have them run plates.
That seems also unethical.
Yeah, but Veronica Mars gets away with it all the time.
All right, but somehow they find out because they have the license plate of her friend Samantha, and they follow her around. Again, this is because a woman would not have sex with him.
Yeah.
He follows her friend to find out that she has coffee with Samantha on Monday mornings.
Yeah.
Okay. So he shows up.
It's really unsettling.
Yes.
Yeah, and he says he doesn't consider it wasteful to hunt down Stealth and make her pay. I don't know what he means.
What did she do to you? What did she do to you?
And like, what by which means are you going to make her pay? Like this, at this point, I am Concernicus in the novel. Yeah, I know he's supposed to be the hero, but I am Concernicus.
Also, I am pretty concerned that he was never in the army. During this chapter, he says that he took shrapnel in the shoulder from a, quote, homemade IED. Guys, that's not a thing that's said. A homemade IED is just an IED.
It's just an IED.
It's an improvised explosive device. It's like saying ATM machine. But like if you were a person who made ATMs but said ATM machine, I would be skeptical that you were a real ATM mechanic.
Yeah, the improvised part of IED. I'm not sure
he was actually in the army. I'm just putting it out there.
He might have just been a Magic Mike who wore army clothes all the time. That might have been his magic Mike.
Be the case. And he's like, hey, I'm on leave for the year until I have to go back to a war. I'm going to strip for you. I think that may be it.
Yep.
And you know what? He also never capitalizes army, which might mean he's just part of like an army. Like not necessarily the army, but like he and his friends are
like a militia
army.
of two.
Yeah, like like one of those guys. Yep.
Woof. Okay.
Woof.
So, I'm sorry, he watches himself on the video in the thing, and it says, in the vid, my back straightens. I'm trying to pinpoint the scent. My head tilts to the left. It's her, a short, curvaceous woman in a black dress, red heels, and a fragrance I want to taste. So, he is claiming...
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I just have to say this again. That's how they got the license plate. Is security videos from the club.
Yeah.
If you can read a license plate on a security video from a nightclub, you have the most sophisticated nightclub security video in the history of time. Also, I have tried to get a lot of security videos from a lot of nightclubs in my time. And if it has been 12 hours since the thing happened, they don't fucking have it. Nope. They don't have it. They don't want to keep security videos because they don't want people going into their club thinking that they're going to turn over security videos.
Correct.
If it has been a day, it is gone. Also, how did she get that? How did she get that? How did she get that? How does a paralegal just be like, I want your security videos. I'm a paralegal.
Listen,
and they're like, yup.
I'm just over here trying to figure out what kind of olfactory superpower he has. Because he is surrounded by 300 people. And her sidling up to him. He's like, what is that?
Oh, God.
What's that smell? Oh, God. I need it in my body. I just
imagine him with this video just like zooming in and clicking enhance and zooming in and clicking enhance and zooming in and clicking enhance and then being like, that's the plate.
That's it.
I can't.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, he knows that she somehow drinks coffee on Monday mornings at the same place every week. And so he shows up, you guys. He shows up, he comes up behind her and like whispers in her ear without her being aware of his presence. He's like, what's up, Shug, or whatever.
I would have been like, no. And then I would have kneed him in the balls.
Yeah, I would have accidentally punched him. I don't
police.
even think it would have been my immediate reaction to just punch back.
Can you imagine if you rejected a guy at a bar a week ago and he tracked you down at a coffee shop?
I would be going directly to the police.
Legitimate, actual fear. I would be so thankful that I was with a friend at that coffee shop and not alone. Because what are you going to do if you're alone? Horrifying.
Just start shrieking and accidentally punch. That's really...
But she's just like, oh, hello.
She's like, oh, it's you. And then turns around. He says, I abhor violence against women, but I have to close my hands into fists to keep from turning her around and shaking her hair loose.
Why?
And I know she wants me to lose my fucking cool. It's all in her syrupy, sweet tone. He reads so much into this nonsense. She wants to be able to look at me with raised brows as though I'm the irrational one.
What?
And I just want to say, real quick, we are on record as being against irrational assholes. And of any, of mostly the butt kind. However, we also are against irrational alphaholes. All right? Just putting it out there.
Yeah.
Because this is super irrational.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyway.
He stays for their whole coffee date. Their whole coffee date. We actually get her perspective with her friend. And her friend is like, I know that you fucked with him too because of Lorraine. Lorraine is this friend from the past. And I'm like, Lorraine's going to be soups upset. If this is the standard. If you
were getting with him, Lorraine's going to be real mad.
Yeah.
If he crossed her in some... Because if he messed up Lorraine so bad that you're on a mission to, because he's right, she is apparently on some kind of a mission to mess with him. Mission. So he's psychic, I guess.
And also, she's very pussy confident,
Yes, right. But if that is the case, girl, what are you doing? Stop.
Yeah.
And then she sits down with Samantha, her redhead friend, who I guess is probably going to be Duke's girlfriend, I would assume.
Who knows?
Or Tarek. I would say not a name, but I'm sure there's a lot of Terrics out there. But I have a problem with like taking one consonant and switching it to another and being like, look, a name, Terric. Listen, you were already Derek. Why did you have to be Terric? I can't.
I will say I would maybe read Terric's book because he's the only emotionally intelligent one out of the whole bunch. He has boundaries.
You are missing out on Duke's book. Okay. I am sure of it.
Duke is a nutter butter. I don't want any part of that.
I love him.
Of course I love him. Okay.
So Samantha, the friend, is like, do it. Get on it. Who's also apparently a friend of Lorraine's, or at least knows the whole story with Lorraine.
Yeah. And she's like,
just do it. Just have sex with him.
Yeah. She's like, I saw you light up at that club. I haven't seen you look like yourself since forever. Which, like, when we know all, she did not know whatever her name is, Stealth, before the thing that happened. Like, so she has no idea what she looks like as, quote unquote, herself. Whatever. It's just, ugh.
But she's very like, have sex with him one time, have fun, don't think about Lorraine, and then have it be over.
Which I'm like, how do you not think about Lorraine?
Yeah, I don't know. And she's like, she goes, what if I like catch feelings for him and he does to me what he did to Lorraine? And then Samantha's like, well, then here, I'll be right here to say I told you so. And it's like, wait, you didn't tell her so. You told her to have sex with her one time and then forget it and that would be okay. Then why would you say I told you so? What you should say is, I'm sorry. I led you down this horrible path.
Yeah, like, totally.
Samantha, you're a terrible friend. Really bad. No. This is also where he talks about the dental dams, if you need some...
Oh, no worries. I'm on it.
A moment.
So she walks over to him and she's like, all right, let's do this. You know, he walks over to her after Samantha leaves and he brings her another tea, which then after she like says something a little bit sassy to him, he goes and throws it away. Which I just like, don't throw away my tea yourself. Don't get me tea and then throw it away, you asshole. Anyway, he sits down and he's like, all right, I want to do this. And she's like, okay. And he obviously is a little taken aback, but then he recalibrates and it's on. So he pulls up his phone to some sort of like check my health app and slides it,
so
which
weird.
Also I would find that to be incredibly suspect. Like, did you just screenshot something from the internet and slide it over to me? Like, fuck you. Anyway, slides it over to her and he's like, I got tested at this point and burr. It's very good, you know, that whatever. And he says also, I get tested just as sort of a superfluous gesture because I always use dental dams, which quick definition of a dental dam. It is generally like a, I don't know, 4x6 or a 6x9 sheet of latex that you put over the vulva and you can go down on a person via latex. So it's like giving a blowjob with a condom on. So you're both safer that way. However, 1 week ago, he stuck his hand all the way up her pussy and then put it directly into his mouth. She was a stranger. Second of all, you do not get any contact with the juices, with the smell, with the anything when you use a dental dam. That is quite literally the point. So it would not make sense.
Because my note here was, do I not understand what dental dams are?
No, because apparently Dakota Gray doesn't understand what dental dams are because a lot of times they're flavored so that, like, you know, as well, you know what I'm saying. They're flavored condoms for blowjobs too. I hear you, right? It's never going to taste like actual watermelon. That's fine.
That would gross me out too.
Listen, doesn't matter. But like for his particular kink, a dental dam goes completely against everything that is sexy for him. So it doesn't make any sense. Then he makes a really what could have been an absolutely catastrophic assumption because she sort of like looks a little bit shy and then pulls up her Check My Health app.
Apparently everybody's got
one in this universe, you guys.
Just their sexual health
how it works.
Tests on their phone.
So she slides it over to him. He notices that she got tested over a year ago and he's like, oh. She hasn't been with anyone in over a year.
That's not what that means, bro.
That is not at all what that means.
That just means she hasn't been tested in a year.
What are you doing? Anyway, he's like, oh, but she's so bashful about it. She must be so embarrassed not to have been with a person.
It's like, maybe she's embarrassed that she hasn't had an STD check in a year. Maybe that's what she's embarrassed about.
I certainly would be.
Oh,
anyway.
Man.
Oh, we also find out that he's like, tell me who sent you. And she's like, my friend was a virgin. And you...
Yes.
She goes, she was a virgin, the woman you broke. I'm pretty sure eventually she might have liked to get spanked and tied up, but now she'll never know. You dropped her like trash in the street and fucked her up.
Yeah.
So 3 things, just wham, bam, bam. They seem completely disconnected.
Yes.
Why doesn't she know that she would like to get tied up and spanked?
Right.
Why couldn't she explore that? Why didn't she explore that with him? Because he's like obviously up for anything. Or at least, we find out he's always up for anything.
As long as you sit on his face.
That's what I'm saying. It's about the trade-off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he's like, give me the name. What's her name? And she's like, you wouldn't know her name even if I said it.
Which
and
is
he's
a
like,
valid
try
point.
me. And she says, Corinne, which is a lie.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't remember Corinne.
I don't fucking know.
But the virgin thing narrows it down to 3. He can remember 3 women who were virgins when he first got with them. Or at least that told him that they were virgins.
Mm-hmm. And then I think later on, he somehow narrows it down that it's before he was hit with that homemade IED. Because of, he didn't have his dimple.
Well, which one? There's 2. Because there's the dimple IED,
Complete
but also the shoulder one. And I think those are 2 different encounters, both of which were walking. Because, I mean, I don't know. Listen, I'm not an expert on what happens in Afghanistan. I don't want to be like, that is not a thing. But I feel like it would be, because he talks about how they were walking around and the guy in front of him took the massive hit and died, and he just got the shrapnel in the shoulder.
Right.
But your vast majority of IED encounters are going to be in a vehicle.
Yeah.
And that was the weirdest. Was it a landmine?
I don't know. No, I mean,
I don't
are
know
landmines
either.
homemade?
I'm not gonna
or improvised.
The way that he described it was very landmine.
Yeah, no, totally.
And not somebody wearing a vest that was near. I just thought all the army stuff was weird. I just want to say that was all weird. Okay.
So he throws the gauntlet down. He's like, I just need 10 minutes.
Right.
She's like, great, let's go to a hotel. They go. Oh, she demands another tea first, which was because he threw your fucking tea away. It's fucking rude.
Also, he describes his penis as a he. He's ready.
He always does
He's ready
that.
to go.
I did not like it.
He likes it. Not my fave.
No, I don't like that. No. I also don't know. I don't need to know what you name your penis. I'm never going to call it that.
Name it, which
just
is nice.
FYI. Unless it's Mr. Skippy. And then I will make fun of you in front of literally everyone. I will never fuck you, though, probably. So, all you Mr. Skippies out there. So, she struts over to the bed just like he likes it, and she notches her feet perfectly the way he likes.
The way he likes it.
And so, in his brain, he's like, oh, her friend really gave her the low down play-by-play.
Yes.
She knew exactly what my routine is.
Which is what? How do you put your feet up any other? I can think of one way, and that's the way you do it. I don't know.
I don't know, man. Maybe he can get a different angle in another way. Anyway, we go through this whole 9 minutes, 8 minutes, blah 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 blah. He eats her out the whole time. It's a good scene if you like.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
When she gets naked, he talks about her butt. And he says quarters could bounce on her ass, but they might cling too just to stay close to her. What a weird thing. Can you imagine? Okay, first of all, bouncing quarters off of an ass is already kind of a weird metaphor, but we as a world have apparently accepted it.
Right.
So every time that metaphor happens or simile or whatever it is, I imagine the quarter going bong, bong off,
Yep.
But then, imagine somebody throwing a quarter at somebody's ass and it's just going...
It's just going, ooh, I love this ass.
I love it.
It just suctions on. Never leaving this ass.
Weird, right?
No, it really, it anthropomorphized quarters in a way I was not expecting.
It's very weird. I kind of liked it, but it was weird. Anyway, okay, so he goes down on her. It's crazy. He when they switch then and she goes to go down on him, he's like, no, because he's afraid she's going to bite his dick off.
And then he's afraid he's going to want to marry her.
Yeah, both things are
it's
like
always
legit
both
fears.
Things with this guy.
He's like so into her. She tastes better than any of his other ladies, the hundreds of thousands of ladies. And so he's like, oh no. But also he's a little bit afraid of murder.
Yeah.
And
Mr. Skippy murder.
Like literal dismemberment he's afraid of, which is kind of funny. So she gives him an HJ, but then does a few little smooches.
Well, then she puts her head down so that he can come in her mouth.
Yes.
And he's like, I told you not to do that.
You won't join me for dinner.
You won't join me for dinner. Don't you swallow my cum like that. I prefer to make a mess. Okay.
Oh, he also says that she slurps all his cum.
It. Oh, yeah.
Listen, this has the danger to get a little too personal, but I just feel like that's not, it's not, like, it's not soup. It's not, like, the volume is not, like, at a level where slurping is ever necessary. And I feel like if the volume is that level, there's, like, a medical issue or something. Because it's, like, not that much. I just feel like it's not that much. You can't slurping. That's so gross too. Like also, even if that was reality, I just feel like that's such a gross word, slurping. Do you have anything to add, or is this just like the Erin show? Like I just feel like I'm out here on this limb, and you're just not even here with me. Could you chime in maybe a little bit?
Well, he swipes what's left off for chin.
There's more. Gosh.
Oh my god.
Loud,
incredible
slurping noises.
Slurping. And then that ends with... Oh yeah, loud slurping noises. Yeah.
Oof.
And then it says, our wedding is going to be beautiful.
Yeah. Also, the chapters in this are weird. Like, some are numbered and some are titled.
No, I think it just breaks into her perspective within that chapter.
Oh, that's the same chapter?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that was confusing to me.
I had to look through it a lot to figure it out.
Okay, all right. And that's why it says stealth and heels, because we don't know her name yet.
Correct.
And then later we know her name?
Yep.
Okay.
That's the one.
Okay. Yep. Okay. All right, I guess.
So, all of a sudden, he's simmering with anger, which... I don't even know.
Well, we're in her now. She's mad. She hates him.
Yeah. She's like, he's scum. He fucks and leaves women without a thought or care.
She hates how much she enjoyed that whole thing.
Right.
Also, he kind of like walked out. He was like, all right, my 10 minutes is up. And she's like, I'm not done with you. And he's like, we're done. And like leaves the hotel. And she's like, oh, that's such a power move.
Yeah. And then he just fucks off. You're so right. He just picks up his pants and leaves.
So she's mad. She's like, I hate him. I hate how much I liked that. I hate how I broke girl code. And she acts like she just like got caught up in the moment and totally broke girl code and like had sex with this guy who wronged Lorraine. Yeah. But it's also like, this is what we call in the legal world premeditated. When you leave the coffee shop, get a hotel room, go upstairs. Like, it's not like you're in the bar and you're in the heat of passion and you smooch him and you're like, ah, shit. It's like, no, there was actually a financial transaction involved in this. Like, you had to buy the hotel room.
And there was a whole chat with your terrible, terrible BFF who didn't understand what like
you
friendship is.
To do
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're not like big on girl code here as far as like
I am not
dating somebody who, but if you cared about your friend, this is kind of like, what is it called? What was the other book with the teenagers and the motorcycles?
Oh,
what was that book called?
I have wiped it. Bully.
It's kind of like Bully. If it's like somebody who's really mean to your friend, you just shouldn't like that person. It's not really girl code. It's just like, what is there redeemable in this person? It hurts. He hurt someone you love. I don't know. Anyway.
Completely.
But then it turns out he really didn't do anything to her, so I don't get that.
He did literally nothing. She just went cray.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So I think that's all we get from that chapter.
Yeah, it is. So then he is at the gym again. He can't
He's
stop
with
thinking
Tarek
about her.
and Duke.
Yeah. And they're like, have you fucked someone else? Duke says, because he's a dick.
Stuff.
And he's like, nope, I tried. Fuck me, I tried. Oh, and then he says, no, but I talked to women out of her underwear so I could sniff them.
Oh! So
and then Tarek's like, that's weird, right? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So then Duke, like, does he prepare some kind of like more information on her or something like that? Because this is where he gets her name.
Yeah. Duke tells him her name. Yeah.
Graduated with a bachelor's pre-law, NYU, grew up in California, blah, blah, blah. Dad was a school teacher. Mom was a doctor, only child, all this stuff. Her credit score, her criminal records, everything. Then he says she should be normal, but she's not, based on these like things. And it's like, what do you mean that she wouldn't have... You should be normal too, but you're not, Nate. Like, you grew up in a regular house fishing and doing Georgia stuff. Like,
right. Catching frogs or whatever you do in Georgia.
Like, yeah, he's really wanting to talk about who should be normal and who shouldn't. But the connotation there seems to be that, like, you should have, like, a messed up childhood if you have, like, kinks or are okay with your partner having kinks. It was very weird.
Yeah.
And also, like, his kink isn't, like, that weird.
No.
The way he describes it is physically nauseating, but the kink itself is
only
not
to some
weird.
people. But yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So now he's at the club again. He's 4 scotch and ice cubes in to the night.
Scotches and ice cubes.
And he just can't with this lady. He wants to, but he can't. And then he accidentally calls her Gabby when her name is not Gabby. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, I need another scotch. And then he goes and sits down. And then all of a sudden, who bounds over and sits right down next to him but Robin. Her name is Robin, you guys.
She knows that is the place where he hangs out, and so she has gone there every night to hopefully bump into him.
For a week, you guys. Yes. The stalking is now turned on its head. It's a 180. I mean, kind of. No, she didn't.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, she didn't. And the thing is, here, Bing Bong Bong paralegals again.
Yeah.
Robin is a paralegal.
Yeah. Where are her PI skills?
Should she not have been able to just, like, run his plates and find out where he lives?
She actually
in this
knows
world
his
where
full
paralegals are like superheroes who have psychic powers?
Yeah.
Very weird.
I know.
I guess since she doesn't work at Duke's office, which is the primary best lawyer place
of all of them.
You guys, we hear like at least 24 times that Duke is the best lawyer in Los Angeles.
Right, which I have zero time for. Okay, so he's like, "What are you doing here?" And she's like, "You left without saying goodbye. We weren't done." And he's like, "Weren't you? You got your revenge." And she goes, "I did, didn't I? But I wasn't done with you." And her mouth looks biteable and stuff. It's a whole thing.
I love it. When you hate a hero, you just go all the way through all that. So you're like, her skin is smooth. She bites her lip. Blah, blah, blah. Whereas if you like him, it's just like, you're like, ooh, you missed the part where she had a little curl of hair on her neck and he looked at it and brushed it aside. Like, you want every single thing. And when you don't like something, you're like, gross. And then there was a sex scene and now we're moving on. It's so funny.
Wow.
It's true.
I feel very vulnerable right now. Super called out. The spotlight is on me.
You are seen.
And then he goes, "Tell me more about the broken virgin."
Who is then referred to as the broken virgin for another, like, 100 pages in his narrative until he finds out her name, which is rough, you guys. She says, "How did you get the scar on your face?" And he almost smiles and says, "Most people think it's a dimple." And that's supposed to clue us in that Robin knows things about, she's intuitive about him. She's the one that can see through his mask.
It almost looks like a dimple, but I know you're dark and twisty and stuff.
Yes. So she says, "Do you have a ride home?"
I'm going to be your ride
pretty
home.
drunk. Yeah. And she gives him a ride.
He also like does the thing where he grabs her chin and makes her look at him or whatever. Which I cannot.
Only Bill Compton can do that.
Nope, not even Bill Compton for this guy.
I know.
But he does kiss her.
Like, it's my least favorite thing anymore because of what happened. Did you know there's a Kenny G board game now? I saw it at Target yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
It's called it's called Saxy something. It's like a Kenny G like romance board game. At Target.
Do you only get around the board on an elevator?
I don't know. I was too
so.
distracted because there's also some kind of like RBG board game that I was more attracted to in the moment.
That sounds a lot better. Anyway, there's like a 2-page kiss. It's objectively hot. It's a really good kiss.
It is a good kiss.
Oh, except he says, don't believe anyone who says eating pussy is like kissing.
Ooh.
If a pussy licks you, you should run.
Oof.
I mean, he's not wrong. Okay. So she gets him home.
Before he thinks that maybe she had sex with Duke, and that's how and she kind of hints at it a little bit, and he gets very ragey about it.
Super ragey.
But also, she in this conversation is like, no, I've never had sex with Duke. But she says he's an attorney of record for a competing firm. That's not a thing. That's just a phrase Dakota Gray has heard, because that's not how that is. You're the attorney of record in like a case because you've been on the record in that case, or you're attorney of record for a client because you've been on the record for that client. You're not an attorney of record for your firm. That doesn't. I just wanted to say on the record, this record again. She knows nothing about lawyers or army. Okay.
Okay. Anyway, she gets to his house and she's like, "Ooh,
another thing. I'm sorry.
No, go."
He tells her about how he like builds computers. Is that in this conversation? Yep. And she says, "This is okay. Listen, I wasn't able to contact my computer expert today. I tried to about what is this?
Yeah,
but she says, I want you to make me a computer. $2,000 range. That's a lot. I save a lot of documents." I save a lot of documents, PDFs, digital photos, and run large databases. It'll be a personal computer, but I'll need decent security. If you do a good job, I can use some of my contacts to help your business along. You want a man to build you a computer to the tune of $2,000 because you save a lot of PDFs?
Yeah, and he
finds out you can password protect it, right?
He finds out she's like doing charity because she's like, you shouldn't have paid for the hotel room because like there's nothing in his fridge. He lives in a janky ass apartment. She thinks he's unemployed. Well, because he is unemployed, but
no, he has his computer building business.
Well, he sort of decided to start doing that.
Yeah,
and it says the warmth spilling into me goes cold. I grab her wrist and yank her against me. Her face is inches away from mine. Fear flickers in her irises. Good. I keep her wrist imprisoned above my head. Her breasts are crushed against my chest and I can feel her breathing race. Don't toy with me. That's a warning. She just offered to do you a favor?
Yeah, I don't really understand what this conversation was like about or like why or like what our characters, but like I did enjoy that little thing that happened. I can't. Sorry. I wish it would have made sense at all, but
it made no sense because then she's like, "What's after the warning?" And he's like, "The threat." And I'm like, "I don't even which one? Would you like to enumerate it for me? Would you like to shed any light?" I don't know.
Don't know. So they're at his house. This is where this conversation's happening, and he tells her that if she doesn't want to go home, she can sleep at his house, and he's like, "Great," or she's like, "Great." And then she gets totally naked. And then she's like, aren't you going to take off your clothes to sleep? And he's like, no, because he says if he even takes off his shoes, he's going to put it in her.
That's right.
Even if he unlaces his shoes, that's it. Then it's done and it's going to be a rape. He can't.
It's all the way.
He cannot control it.
Can't do it.
It's like, men, what are you? Or at least what do women think men are? Because I feel like that's not a thing.
Yeah. I do have a theory, though, regarding Dakota Gray. I think she might be British. Because
why?
Well, in one scene, one scene a while ago, he says when a lady hoovers your dick like that. So hoover is a vacuum term for the Brits. And then
wait, hoover is a vacuum term for us?
No, you don't say I'm going to go hoover the floor. That's a brand. You say I'm going to vacuum the floor.
But I have said I'm going to hoover that breakfast before.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay, well then I might be wrong. Anyway.
I've had a Hoover vacuum. I use Hoover in that way all the time. I've never said I'm going to go Hoover the floor to mean vacuum.
That's what I'm saying.
But I have said get out the Hoover to mean the vacuum.
Because you're referencing the item.
Yes.
But he was saying when a woman
by
hoovers your
eating
dick,
copious amounts of food, I've also used Hoover.
Sure.
I've never used it in a blowjob context, but I feel like I would.
Okay.
I just haven't.
All right, get it, girl.
I understood what he meant, though.
No, I understood what he meant, but then in this one, she says, even halfway to tipsy, you're a masher.
Yes.
I don't know
masher. What is that? I didn't know what that meant either.
Yeah.
It sounds British.
Thing. Hey, redcoats, get at me. Let me know.
Hey, redcoats, call us.
We love you. Okay.
Don't microwave your tea and then call us.
Yeah.
I get more hate on our Facebook group for trolling our British listeners about microwaving tea than anything else, which is really funny to me. Okay.
Anyway, so they go to bed and stuff.
We're back in his head. He's telling us about the 3 virgins. He really only tells us about 2, but virgin number 1, he dated while he was stripping. This is why I feel like he had to be a stripper for like a longer period of time.
Me too.
Because he's like on leave and he's doing his stripper thing. And then they date for a few months. And then to break up with her, this is very gross. Instead of just saying, hey, this was the deal. We were never going to have like a deep relationship. And now I'm done with this. I would like to leave. He tells her that he's afraid of commitment because his mom used to beat him.
Yep.
Don't do that. Don't make up stories of abuse. That's not all right.
Yeah.
And then whenever he says like, this is who I am, I never lie. And it's like, yeah, you never lie up front about like what the relationship is going to be, but you do lie when you break up with them.
Yeah, you will spurn the name of your mother who you claim to love. Like, no.
Mm-mm.
So then the next one
is the one.
Right.
So he says the next virgin he dated was a NICU nurse. She was like pale and her hair was dull, which what? And then they dated for like 3 months and then she dumped him.
Well, because apparently she took a while to give it up, so he stuck around.
Yeah.
Because apparently that whole giving the milk away for is true in this guy's case.
Yeah. So, then, after they...
Oh, and she dumped him. She dumped him. I want that noted for the record. Sorry.
Yeah, she dumped him. And then he's like, oh, it was probably her. I don't know why he decides it was probably her.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
Decides that.
Oh, you know what? It's because of the scar timeline or whatever.
Oh, okay. Because when he dated the girl... Yeah.
Since Robin knew exactly how to notch her feet on the bed, then of course...
But didn't know... how he got his scar.
Exactly. So it had to be before then.
Ugh, whatever.
I
just want to say this again. I know I keep going back to this, but she doesn't understand lawyers. So he says something about if Robin kills him. That's not how this works.
Yeah, I just read that line.
If Robin kills him, Duke would make sure she gets the death penalty. Duke works for a firm, and then we later find out that he's criminal defense. Duke's not going to be the one in charge of that. That's not how that works.
No.
Unless this guy thinks that Duke will decide to be her defense attorney somehow against her will and then throw the case such that she gets the death penalty. We already know he's deeply unethical.
We do.
Maybe. But no, that's not how any of this works, Dakota.
And then the next few sentences are, yeah, I know, I'm twisted, but there's a naked woman in my bed and I'm gonna fuck her.
All right. So the next morning, so he says he doesn't have sex with her until he's rested. He's well rested. Yeah. He gets up at 5 a.m. every day because of his time in the army, he has to wake up at 5 a.m. every day. Bing, boom, bong. I have no problem sleeping in when I'm not on an army day.
No, Erin, no problem. He's even more hardcore than that because since he's been in boot camp, he's been waking up at 4:59 because ain't nobody gonna tell him to wake up. He's gonna do it on his own.
I swear to God.
This guy.
And then when he wakes up, he immediately needs coffee or he's going to murder someone.
Or there will be blood in the streets because he is an army veteran. That's not how...
Okay, so he gets up, he eats breakfast, he works out, he does computer time, he does all this stuff before she even wakes up. And she also just found a croissant somewhere
Yeah, they talk about her tattoo.
Oh, yeah, the tattoo.
But I don't know. That never comes back that I can recall.
That never comes back.
And it like the light in her eyes fades. He's seen as a guardian in some myths because it's like a Hermes tattoo.
Yeah, Hermes tattoo.
But I'm like,
he sees it a couple of times, and every time she's cryptic.
Yeah,
about,
and it never gets explained.
Did she get the tattoo in honor of her friend?
But why?
But why her? Yeah, I don't know.
What I mean? No,
I guess I just always noted that as definitely going to come back, and then it just never did.
Dropped. Okay.
Huh. Yep.
Okay, so he's like, my problem is that she's not naked in my bed, and so he goes, "Don't come in here with food, and hurry up and finish eating." And then he pushes her back toward the room, and he's like, she's laughing, and she's like, "No small talk," and he's like, "On the bed is my attempt at small talk."
She demands foreplay, and like his foreplay, he's so pissed that he has to. His whole thing is foreplay. Like his whole kink is foreplay, but he's like, I gotta like touch her boobs, I guess, before I go down on her.
Oh, is that what she meant? Yeah, no, that makes sense because for a lot of people, going down on them is the main event, which is totally cool.
Yeah, which is totally cool. She wants some stuff before that. Okay, so then he's doing boob stuff. Double D's, of course.
Yeah.
Then he says her areolas sit between the bottom curve and the top swell of her breasts. What a sentence. Listen to this, Mel. Let this just blow your mind about her boobs. Her areolas sit between the bottom curve and the top swell of her breasts. Where is he used to seeing areolas if he
hold on
notes? Are you checking?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys, she's checking. Is that where yours are?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And I'm currently breastfeeding my second child. So like if anybody was going to have ski slope boobs, it's this guy. But I even have a top curve.
She's also on her back. I feel like that's just where they are.
Oh, yeah, that's what happens. Yeah.
Yeah. This is very weird. And then he thinks about like, I really want to go down on her. But then he says, I can't.
What?
This is so gross.
You gotta say it.
He says, her pussy is on the lunch menu, and I'm being a good boy by eating my vegetables first. And by that, he means boobs. And I don't like it. Okay.
Listen, some people are not boob guys, I guess. He's not a boob guy. So he's got to get through that broccoli.
But just like the idea of like eating his vegetables before he gets to the main lunch course is just really gross to me.
Oh, man. So he likes that she likes a bit of pain. He sinks his teeth along the side of her boob, and she likes that too, it says.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then he goes down on her. I don't know. It's just like...
It's very graphic, you guys.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Whenever he does that, he does like, and then I did this, and then I did this, and then I did this. It steps within that act. So I feel like, I don't know. I was just so grossed out by his whole thing.
Maybe.
It felt graphic to me.
So on Twitter, like when I got the recommendation, it was like, whoa, this kinky stuff and like all this stuff. And so when I got to the actual book, although it is detailed, it still seems a little pedestrian. Like,
yeah,
he's going down on her, you guys. That's what's happening. I don't know.
It's a kink because how he is about it, but it isn't a kink because of what it is.
Sure. It's
a very normal thing. But his thought process about it is very... I felt like his voice is extremely graphic just because it's so gross to me. For example,
and it's not gross
Nathan,
to me.
She murmurs, and I can taste the subtle change to her cream.
Yeah.
Gross. Like, that's super in your face graphic from my perspective. Because
it's not to me.
So gross.
That just makes sense.
Taste is so gross. I can't.
No, I mean, I'm just, so I was expecting this like super kinky burp. And like it is kinky because that is his kink, but it's not the most like out there thing that happens in this novel. There's maybe two of them. One is he strips for her at a club, like a closed down club. And the other one is that he ties her to the bed, but like just does sex on her while she's tied up. Like it's not, there's nothing else.
There's a fair amount of panty sniffing, which I feel like is kind of...
Okay,
a thing.
Yeah, but he only talks about it. He never describes like panty sniffing. He's like, oh, I got the panties off her and I sniffed them, past tense, right?
Yeah, but I feel like of the things that were done in this book that we've mentioned, one of those would be too far for me.
Oh, didn't even faze me. I was just like, oh, okay, sure.
So gross. Sniffing.
Anyway.
All right.
Yeah, so he goes down on her and then they have missionary sex, you guys. That's what happens.
Yeah, regular type. But
that's the one.
It's also like very hateful. They hate each other. And I don't
they
get why they hate each other, but I don't.
Yeah.
I just, yeah. He says her name, but it like cuts him to say it.
No, he refuses to say her name because he won't give her that. It cuts him not to say it, I think.
Oh, it cuts him when he swallows it, her name.
That's the one.
Yeah, okay. But still, that's the thing. It's like, why can't he say her name? What is the thing? Because he's so mad at her because she didn't have sex with him that other time. It's like, she's doing it now. Like, what?
You are balls deep in this, lady. Get over yourself. I don't understand.
And her too. Like at this point, I'm assuming that he did something really horrible to her friend. So I'm kind of forgiving her motivations. But going back through it with you right now, I'm just like, why? Why does she hate him? Because it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
Except that he just kind of sucks, you know?
Yeah.
Because he does.
He really does. Oh, no, I'm sorry. She does sit on his face.
Yes.
Sure.
He says that moving her, because she's on top at that point, he says that picking her up and moving her from his like penis region to his face region. She's bird bone, but he also says, this is the reason I go and crush the weights every day so that I can do this move.
My God, that's
and
right.
That's like a pretty normal move, brah.
Yeah.
That's not.
It's just like
you don't need to be like super strong for that.
Yep.
Do you want to stop?
Yeah, I feel like we didn't do this sex scene justice, but I honestly also don't want to.
No.
It's like, read it. Like, if you're, if what we've said so far doesn't totally gross you out like it does Erin, then you should read it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm just reading this one part of the sex scene where he goes, I focus. If I've done my job, she'll taste like sex all along her inner thighs. The foreplay wasn't just for her. I wanted her wet enough to drip. She has. I angle my mouth to begin there. I play clean up first, licking and sucking every bite of juice she smeared along the sensitive skin. So, like, yeah, there's a lot of...
It's a lot. And it's a lot of juice. It's a lot of cream. It's a lot of smells. It's a lot of tastes.
Strawberries, you guys. Strawberries and pussy.
And tang.
Ooh,
a lot of tang.
Uh-huh. Salty tang.
Ooh, salty. It's such an oof for me. I can't believe I'm spending 2 weeks with this book. Ugh. All right.
Anyway.
Do you have lady love? Melody?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not going to be for everybody. But,
okay.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
It's not like that. You always assume. You always jump to the conclusion.
Because I'm usually right.
No, my lady
because
love
when I said where areolas were, you checked your own boobs in front of me. That's why I feel like I'm right.
Off camera. You couldn't see my tit.
You always think that. You always think it. All right.
I know, we've both been burned a couple of times.
Yeah, we've been burned.
Anyway, okay,
the most graphic romance novel podcast you can find. We really describe things that happen here.
We do. So randomly, I've just been like picking bands out of my youth to have Alexa play.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it steers me wrong because I'm like, oof, I don't know what I was thinking when I listened to them. But sometimes it steers me really, really right. And this week was one of those times. I randomly, just on a wild hair, was like, Alexa, play the Dixie Chicks. And man, I really like them.
Yes.
I realized that I know every single word to the song Goodbye Earl and many of their other things, but Goodbye Earl is just so satisfying. Like, you kill that abusive motherfucker, you know? So yeah, I don't know if the Lady Love is the Dixie Chicks or if it's, you know what? It's the Dixie Chicks. And if you're not into that, then just go back into your Rolodex and put on something that you haven't listened to in a while. And just see how it makes you feel now. Because, the nostalgia, the good nostalgia was high. And it reminded me of when the Dixie Chicks, man, remember when we lived in simpler times?
Oh, and they said like one critical thing about George W. Bush.
And everybody like burnt their records. I was not one of them.
God.
But Yeah, they said like one tiny thing.
I forget. I think it was just that they were like against the war in Iraq,
and it was only the lead singer. Like the two sisters didn't say a word.
It was not even like a controversial. I mean, I guess it was controversial at the time to be for or against the war, but it wasn't like he's a terrible person, fuck him, or it wasn't like anything that was vulgar. It was just her opinion about his policy.
I know.
Oh, remember those
times? Oof. Anyway, Dixie Chicks, man.
Dixie Chicks. Stuff. They're still not ready to make nice.
They are not ready to back down.
No.
Oh.
No. And then there's that fiddle.
They're going to go round and round and round.
All right. You know, I didn't have one, but then when you called and you were like, I'm ready early, I had just settled down. Listen, I did not expect you to be on time. Listen, that's just the truth. That's just the truth. When you said 3 or 3:30 and it was 2:50 and you were like, I'm ready, I was like, fuck, I was like ready for 40 minutes from now. I was not pooping. Gosh, you guys. No. I had just settled into the couch with a bowl of soup. My favorite thing, as everyone knows. I love a soup.
Wow, you really, really did not expect me to be on time.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Like a sandwich or a burrito.
No, it was a soup. And I was 10 minutes into an episode of Queer Eye, season 4, and I was pissed. I was like, oh, I think what I said, you said I'm ready, and my text back was bah, B-A-H. Yep. Because I was like, I want to see what happens in the makeover. So my lady love is going to be the Queer Eye season 4 just dropped like yesterday or the day before. So when you're listening to this, it will be a week ago. So you probably already know, but I am already 2 episodes in and it is fantastic as always.
Nice.
Season 4. All right.
Nice. Oh, also, can I don't know if I've said this on the podcast or not, but can I just say a really quick mom proud moment?
Sure.
All right. The other day.
Do you want to save it for Patreon?
No. I'm in the kitchen and I hear Ember go, Alexa, play Shoot by Salt and Peppa.
Hey-o!
And I was like, wow!
What's my weakness? Men!
Yeah!
Nice.
Anyway. All right. I love you tons.
I love you.
I'll
Sorry
talk to
it was
you
a two-parter.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, you. Yes, listener, you. Are you loving the show? If so, please leave a rating and review in your podcast app. The 90 seconds you take to say something nice not only helps new people find the show, but it makes me super smile over at HBHQ. Also, I've had a few people ask, and the answer is yes. We are still doing the 5-star bribe. If you leave us a review with 5 stars, then we'll do whatever book you want. We're real deep into the list, though, so it might be a while. Lilas! Okay, back to the show.